Well, that settles it. It's game of the year.
This game is something special, and they hit an absolute grand salami here. This shit is in slapper. I mean, this was... I couldn't be more happy with this game.
Expedition 33 is an absolute banger of a game.
Yep, that's what they're all saying about Expedition 33. With so many people glazing this game, I can see why people are saying this might take home the Game of the Year title for the year 2025. Like, it has everything you can ever want, like addicting gameplay, a beautiful open world, and even an amazing story. From the storytelling and even the gameplay, this game is the complete package when it comes to that price point of $50. Like, even if you have Game Pass, it's like $20 to play the whole game. You know what's crazy is they're offering all this content for that price point while only being created by like a small team of like 30 people. You know, for that price, you get a very addicting combat system with plenty of variety with the gameplay, and a massive open world to explore with plenty of lore scattered everywhere. And as well as a really good story that still has a lot of people talking and interpreting its many different layers of complexity. And the best part about the game, there was no glitches at all. From the storytelling and even the gameplay, this game is the complete package when it comes to that price point of $50. Like, even if you have Game Pass, it's like $20 to play the whole game. You know what's crazy is they're offering all this content for that price point while only being created by like a small team of like 30 people. You know, for that price, you get a very addicting combat system with plenty of variety with the gameplay, and a massive open world to explore with plenty of lore scattered everywhere. And as well as a really good story that still has a lot of people talking and interpreting its many different layers of complexity. And the best part about the game, there was no glitches at all. I was able to play the entire game without experiencing any glitches. And you know, it's so crazy to say that a game without glitches is becoming like a rare occurrence, but luckily, this game is not falling for that stereotype. That's the part of the gaming industry at this moment. And to give you a quick synopsis of the story, the game takes place in a broken down France, where there's a giant woman across the ocean painting numbers on the wall. And if she happens to draw that number that you painted on the monolith, your ass gets Thanos snapped off the face of the earth. And so the reason why the game is called Expedition 33 is that you're the 33rd expedition that's gonna go stop the painters from deleting any more of your people. That's the intro synopsis, but there's more as you delve down the rabbit hole. The more you really get invested in this game, you get a lot of things thrown at you. Like, you get beautiful sceneries with graphics that look amazing, and each area you visit is just straight eye candy. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've just spent just sitting down and just taking in the scenery because it's really that beautiful. And even the cinematography during the cutscenes was very deliberate and purposeful. It made each cutscene more engaging because you might not know what hidden detail you might miss just because you were slacking. There's this really cool part I like when you finally get to explore the big ass map. There's this cool tilt shift effect that gets displayed, which puts into perspective how massive these places really are, and how toy-like you seem compared to like the rest of your surroundings. It's a really cool effect, and I haven't really seen much video games really implement this style of photography. So can we like add this? Because I would like to see more games use it more often, because it's really cool to see. And let's talk about the gameplay before I get really lost in the sauce, because it's the reason why some people might not even try the game at all, because the gameplay is turn-based, similar to like a JRPG, so you'll have to wait your turn before you can attack again. And I'm not gonna lie, when I heard this mechanic before the game came out, I was really ready to ignore this game because I don't like turn-based combat at all. Then I heard that this game was getting some good reviews, and what finally convinced me to get this game was watching Big Moist Charlie play this game on stream. The gameplay and graphics was pretty good, like I was really impressed, and after seeing his gameplay video, I was pretty much down to get my hands on this game immediately. And my concerns with the turn-based combat basically went away when I found out that you can actually defend yourself when it's not your turn. See, what the game does during like the enemy's turn is that you can dodge or even parry the attacks that come your way. That fact alone changed my mind about this game. From the few times I've played JRPGs, I just didn't like the fact that you had to wait for your turn as the enemy just impales spears at your bitch ass for some reason. But since they added this parrying mechanic, you're not really so helpless at all, right? You can actually do something about it when the enemy attacks you, which is kinda nice. And my favorite thing in any video game mechanic is just parrying. I don't know why, but there's just something so satisfying about denying an enemy's attack that just scratches the soul in a very good way. And in this game, when you parry an enemy's attack, they nail the sound effect like spot on, to the point where whenever you time a dodge perfectly, it makes this very rewarding sound for each successful parry you can pull off. So to me, if you give me the option to either dodge or parry in this game, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna say it's worth parrying any attack that's given at you. It took some time to get used to the parrying, because it's not like Sekiro or even God of War's style of parrying. You actually have to wait until the attack physically lands on your character to get like the timing perfect. Like, this small adjustment in the beginning of the game is what made me struggle at the very first few hours of the game. But once you manage to master that timing, like it gets very addicting, and now all you want to do is just brag to people how flawless your parrying skills have gotten in this game. And you can also free aim during the fights. I don't know if other turn-based games have that, but I thought it was cool that you can aim for weak spots in the enemy, and it could probably turn the tide of that fight, which works out for me because I have some experience playing some first-person shooters, so I got to flex a little bit here. So I thought that was a cool addition to like the turn-based combat. And once you keep playing this game, you unlock more people, and then you realize that you can play up to 3 people at a time. Each character has their own unique playstyle, so you can kind of experiment to see which set of characters does the fattest damage to the enemy. And it also keeps your brain engaged because you gotta manage certain conditions in order to maximize your damage output. You also have the option of swapping up people as you please, so there's quite a bit of combinations you can try. So you can basically just experiment and see which 3 characters you want to just have on the field at all time. Like for example, Mael has this cool ability where she has different stances where she can either deal more damage or even defend better. And then there's Lune. She has like an elemental wheel where you have the chance to get extra perks if you manage to like accumulate the right sequence of colors. Like the combat is very in-depth, but not too much to where it's overwhelming. Like I don't think you need to go to Expedition 33 College to just learn the combat systems. Like there's the option for where you can go deep in the woods with all that stuff, or you can just choose whatever buff that seemed pretty good to you at the time. I do appreciate that you have the ability to sprint instead of like doing like a light jog similar to like some of these Ubisoft titles. I found it surprising that the first thing you see when Mael says, "Follow me," is that she starts beelining it straight to the objective. Like that alone made me respect the developers because they understand that some people gotta do shit. So they probably went to that board meeting saying that, hey, we're gonna make the characters run as fast as Barry Allen in the DC Comics. So let's do this, people. All the bosses in the game were pretty memorable and just jaw-dropping when you see those sequences. Like you'll know when you see them because they have these really cool set pieces that make you go, how the fuck am I gonna parry that? Which only adds to like how satisfying it feels when you finally beat that boss. Because they're over here throwing some bullshit at you from another dimension, and your teammate expects you to somehow parry that thing, but then you find out that you really could parry it and it's no big deal. Like who gives a shit about realism? That shit was sick as fuck. And if you think those bosses are hard, wait till you see some of the optional bosses. I fought one earlier and I couldn't believe the amount of bullshit I had to parry just to beat them. And what's cool about the bosses is that the game never feels like they throw recycled bosses at you. It always feels like you're encountering a unique boss every time you enter a new region, which is very impressive to do with the magnitude of this game. Like you'd think they'd recycle some, but to my knowledge, every boss that I've encountered felt pretty unique, and at that price range they charge you, it's like honestly amazing how they even managed to do that. Another plus with this game is that there are no microtransactions, as far as I know, but the way you unlock stuff in this game is by exploring the game more or even beating certain challenges. You know, just like an old school video game where you get more cool stuff the more you play the game. And you know the best part about unlocking the outfits is that they get rendered into the cutscene, so just be aware before you ruin some of the tension in the scenes because some of your characters are like wearing a bathing suit in this very emotionally heavy scene. I will now go into spoiler stuff, so if you don't want the story spoiled for you, probably walk away now, because part of the reason why this game is really good is because of the story. So don't spoil the experience for yourself, just tune out of the video and come back when you finish the game. Alright, what the fuck, Sandfall Interactive? Which one of you motherfuckers killed my boy Gustav, huh? Was it you? You know I was coping throughout the whole game when you killed him, because I was thinking like he was gonna come back. You never know how the rules apply in this universe, but he never comes back, and y'all really just made me fall in love with this character just to kill him off. Like I know I'm just being dramatic, but his death really had an impact as it did for Mael in the story. It was a catalyst for a lot of the members to keep going despite starting the expedition with most of their party members dead. So I can at least respect the developers for giving me the story that I needed instead of the storyline that I wanted. But I'm still hurt over it. In terms of the character arcs, I think the game does a good job making me feel invested with every one of their characters. Even Verso. I was a bit standoffish with this guy because he's like a Timu replacement for Gustav, but the more I get to know him, like the interactions he has with the other expeditioners, I slowly found myself growing fond of this man. And maybe the swimsuit might have had an influence over this decision, but that's not important right now. The game's story gets really interesting once you get to the plot twist. You find out that Mael was actually one of the daughters of the paintress in Even Renoir. She gets dragged into the painting and was reborn as Mael, but her real name is Alice in the real world. She kept getting these visions of this other girl at the beginning of the game, only to realize that is actually her true self. So Mael and the other girl are actually one person. And once you get this revelation, you find out that the world you know in Expedition 33 is just a painting that came to life from Verso, who tragically died in the real world, and the only last piece of memento he left on this earth was the soul he left within this very same painting that the game takes place. It's one of the coolest storylines I've ever experienced, and it also recontextualizes the story once you know all the different plot twists. because you start seeing voice lines differently, and it just becomes a whole different experience when you play it again for a second time. God of War 2018 does like a similar form of storytelling where on later replays, you can kind of start seeing different context from like the conversations they had, just because you got revealed like the secret twist in your first playthrough. And I'm not gonna lie, that ending was pretty bittersweet. The game has two different endings depending on what you choose towards the end. One of the options is what I believe is the better ending, and the other one that I could see going either way. It all depends on your interpretation. But I believe that Verso destroying the painting, where his last piece of soul is left, was indeed the better choice, because Maëlle is just clinging on to the past, and it's slowly becoming very destructive despite her learning the truth from her dad. And Renoir saw this and tried to warn his wife and Maëlle, but they wouldn't listen. They would rather live in this fantasy land than face the truth. So I chose this ending because of that. They gotta move on, or as the game puts it, when one falls, we continue. And the other ending is kind of more sad when you think about it, but either way I could see both endings being canon. But the other ending, what you gotta understand is that there are countless people in this painting with real emotions, and all they want at life is just a fair chance. So why is it the decision of one person that decides the fate of the entire population? Like, it's that trolley problem where you have to pull the lever and see who gets to live. Like, does the sacrifice of one life justify the needs of the many, or is it the other way around? But either way, that's what I like about this game. Like, I like the fact that each gamer who plays the game has their own perspective on why they chose each ending. And for me, that's what made this ending so memorable, is because it could go either way. Like, I'd be scrolling to these YouTube comment sections sometimes and eating popcorn because some of these comments are like really good. And the only bad thing I could probably say about this game is that it needs like a mini map or a waypoint, because there are times where I just straight up get lost because sometimes the direct route isn't very obvious to me. So I think having the option to have like a guided path would be nice. But in all honesty, it's not even a big deal most of the time, because when I get lost, I just find cool power-ups or even extra currency. But one thing they really should consider adding is like having the ability to cross out areas that you've already explored. I have a really bad memory, so sometimes I gaslight myself into thinking I haven't explored a certain region, but in reality, I already have. My dumbass just forgot, and I already ran through this area already, but I'm over here thinking, oh wow, I've never been here before. So yeah, those are my only two big gripes. It's honestly very minor in the whole grand scheme of things. So in conclusion, this is a fantastic game, and definitely one of those games that people will talk about for a while. I really hope this game wins Game of the Year for real, because I want the industry to prioritize games like this. Games that challenges the quote-unquote safe games, like the Battle Royales or the FPSs, and I want games to start making the game that they're very passionate about, and just let the devs cook. If a talented studio like Sandfall Interactive can cook up this masterpiece, then I want the gaming industry to follow suit and let those visionaries continue making those great games that are stuck in their heads and they can't release it because the higher ups are like, nah, fam, we're making you another battle royale. But yeah, go support this game, like buy it. Buy the special editions, buy every edition, and support this game. Well, if you like this video, go and hit the like button and subscribe. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.